I think there were some people who were saying that Knott's Berry Farm is better than Disney. I think Six Flags tops them all. But I also don't have small children.
Which Six Flags, though?
Hmm.
Because there's a Six Flags in Jersey, which I can assure you tops nothing.
Are you thinking of Magic Mountain?
Magic Mountain. Where's that?
I think that's the Six Flags in California.
Okay, I think that's the one I've been to. Yeah, in California. All right.
Not Six Flags over Georgia. Nope.
Nope. Last time I was in Knott's Berry Farm was 1987, so I may be working with slightly outdated information on that one.
Holy smokes. All right. Erik, have you been posting about Oracle lately?
I have. Sorry. I know that hurts sales.
Sometimes we get people that like respond to us like, I came here for a SQL. What's going on here? And some people are like, this is awesome. It's really cool to know about other databases and how they operate. So there's
no one says that.
Mixed reviews.
No. You don't have to lie to me.
We do get mixed reviews on it, but we have no plans to provide any support for Oracle. This is just someone was asking. John was asking about that.
Oh no, I'm way too much of an Oracle scrub to offer any good advice on Oracle just yet. I'm still just learning myself, so I wouldn't even. My advice would be to call someone who knows what they're talking about.
All right, so no Oracle consulting anytime soon.
Nah.
No. All right. Well, let's jump into the questions here. Let's see. Question from Justin. He always asks us something. Justin says, is it advisable to move the public's role from being able to query sys logins, sys databases, and or sys configurations in master?
Advisable for what? I've never done it. I never cared that much. But I'm not like a big security guy. Yeah, if any other big security guys want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've never done anything with public's role, and I've never seen it be a problem. But again, we're not security experts.
Yeah. Again, we always recommend it when people ask sort of offhand security questions. Denny Cherry's book, Securing SQL Server, is probably the go-to thing to read to figure out if what you're doing is good or bad.
Yeah, Justin says that they got audited, and he's thinking.
What kind of audit was it that brought those up? I'd be curious.
Well, let's see. Let's move on to a question from Claudio. He says, I would like to load test a new SQL Server instance with real production data. Is there anything we can put between clients and two SQL servers that will intercept the queries, forward them to both SQL servers, and return the response only to one SQL server?
Yes, and I also have a magic spell that turns rats into kittens. No, that's a bit much and a bit specific. You're going to have to come up with something else. If you want to get really crazy, you're going to have to look at distributed replay and come back in 3 years when you finish reading the documentation.
Okay. Let's see here. This is a long one from Richard. Let's tackle this one. I will be adding a remote DR replica, non-readable, to an existing local availability group on a multi-subnet cluster. To be able to use a listener at the DR site, I know a remote site IP address will be added to the listener. Is there anything else that has to be configured in the availability group or cluster besides DNS and firewall rules?
Brent.
Yeah.
Where are you, Brent?
I don't know, actually. I'd be interested. So I want you to try it out and email me if you hit any errors, because I'd be fascinated.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything like a checklist for that on our site.
Oh, what is that?
Is Erik opening a bag of chips, or?
Yeah. I think Richie was typing and it was super loud.
Nope.
It wasn't me.
I don't know.
Doritos.
It was me. Oh wait, who's that?
Doritos the cat.
Oh hi.
Oh, we heard Angie before we saw her. There we go.
There's a
Thought I had
button.
my mute on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, that
gosh.
sometimes works.
Yeah.
Mystery solved.
Hmm.
As for the AG mystery, we're going to leave that one unsolved.
Unsolved mysteries.
Do you see how things go? Do you see how I got blamed for it? You see that? That's
I
normal.
thought I saw your hands like doing
Okay.
some development.
You
Normal.
have 6 cats. Any noise that gets made is going to be from one of 6 cats. There's no way around that.
Unless it's Tara's cat.
Yeah, Tara's
She's not
cat's
here.
Yeah.
So it defaults to Richie's cats.
All right. Question from David. He says, for routine tasks, index maintenance, backup, etc., is it preferred to use agent jobs or maintenance plans? It seems to be the DBA preference. Any reasons to lean on one way or the other?
Ola Hallengren. Angie, tell us about Ola Hallengren. I like your headset, by the way.
Thank you. My headset wasn't working. It had my webcam speaker microphone going. That's why you had. That's why you heard the chips or the bag when this was muted. I was like, it should have worked. Here I was hiding off camera. Ola Hallengren is amazing. I tell every single client about Ola Hallengren. I used it at my last place in production across every server. You can do all backups, full diff logs. You can do it separated for your user databases versus your system databases. You get your check DBs in there, user versus system databases. You even get index optimize, and even better, Brent, aka Erik, has a really good blog post about how you can use it to just do update stats, which is a great follow-up from his post about why you don't do index maintenance anyways, right? Just update stats. Yeah, I love Ola. I'm working on a mini deck to pitch all of his stuff in one instead of just the indexing,
Nice.
but I'm too busy with clients, so.
Plus, he's a Sagittarius.
Gemini!
I've heard rumors that I'm a Scorpio, but I've never had that confirmed.
Use your Google machine.
Expect me to talk, Scorpio.
All right, let's take one from Ben. He says, "Oh, SQL stuff. Here's one. In old SQL, we had to set a registry key to set a static remote DAC port. Is there a better way in SQL 2012, 2014, 2016? What's the registry key?"
A static remote direct administrative connection port.
That's what I meant.
Weird. No, I don't know. I've never done that.
Yeah, me neither.
What is old SQL? Like, what version is old SQL?
Anything prior-
2005.
2005, he says.
Don't believe that's changed much since then.
Yeah.
Sounds like a blog post you need to write, Erik.
We've got something on the site about remote DAC, because...
But it doesn't say anything about the port, though.
No, but it's pretty detailed, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe go check that out, Ben, and go from there. I think it's just go/DAC. I don't know. I'm making things up now.
BrentOzar.com/go/DAC. DAC.
What's the oldest version of SQL you guys have worked on?
05.
2000.
In a critical care, 05.
Oh, yeah.
2000.
Those 6.5 people? No?
Mm-hmm.
Tara is not here.
Nice.
Yeah, she'll probably have a story about the oldest version she's used. She's got the best stories.
It was on a floppy disk.
I worked on 7 once upon a time. I didn't actually do real work on 7. It was just, believe it or not, writing stored procedures in the GUI window.
SQLW.
Query Explorer or whatever it is.
No, it was like the properties of it was crazy when I think back on it. There was like no validation of any kind except the little parse button. This is back when Query Analyzer and Enterprise Manager were separate, and I was doing it in Enterprise Manager.
Ooh.
We had a 2000 box at my last place, and I knew nothing about 2000, and I tried to log in, and I was like, wait, where's Management Studio? And that was
It does
really
exist
hard to
when you
try
go
to
back in
figure
time.
it out. the management administrative part is really scary in 2000. And I was on the server directly, and it was like already a precarious server about to tip over. So scary.
All right. Question from Joe. He says, what is the best way to rebuild a very large index without taking outage or filling the log? Rebuilding after 2 billion record delete.
Oh.
Mhm.
Are you sure you need to delete 2 billion rows from a table?
Maybe it was archiving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to like flag them as deleted and then move them out some other time or what, but yeah, wow, that's a lot of log stuff. You can do minimal logging if it's a table that you really don't care about it being fully logged on, but you know, there are disadvantages to that too.
Yeah, what I would probably do. I mean, I don't. If you're on enterprise, you're kind of out of luck either way, right? There's no online index operations there. You can't help with the log backup stuff if you put it into bulk logged, and continue taking log backups. But at that point, if anything else happens that you need to be recoverable after it starts bulk logging something, you're going to lose all that information too. So the bulk log has its downsides. It's not a magic bullet. So you might, depending on your situation, you might be in a little bit of a pickle. A better bet is if you're deleting 2 billion records, and depending on how many records are left over, you might just want to dump the stuff that you're not deleting into another table, and then do some SP rename and switch things around.
Yeah, you can actually just drop the index and recreate it. Sometimes that goes a lot faster.
Mm.
All right. Question from JH. He says, anything to be aware of or downsides of setting up SQL role triggers, mainly sysadmin role changes?
All these security questions.
Yeah.
We bill ourselves as not
like the one
security
before,
people.
I think we're going to punt on that.
We
Yeah.
have a slide that says no security questions.
Too bad the slides aren't up. I can
Yeah.
if you want to
For
pass
security
the vendor.
questions.
Please call.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Hang on, let me
I'll do them. Usually
questions,
works for me.
attendees, staff, Angie. Maybe let's mute you. Just kidding. There we go. You are presenting.
All right.
All right. Who wants to answer some Azure questions?
Nope.
Does anybody here know the HADR options with SQL 2012 standard in Azure VMs?
Ooh, no, not me.
Using the VM? I mean, if you're just using the VMs, I assume it's the same as are available with anything else. It's only if you use the managed databases that you get something else. But I think it's mirroring either way. Like I know RDS, Amazon RDS uses mirroring, yeah. So.
Yeah, I think
I think
they
that's
have
what you get.
3 copies, and if one goes down, it automatically fails over to the other 2 or something like that. Don't
Okay.
quote me.
We're all being quoted. We're actually all being transcribed. We're all being recorded. We're being watched.
Really?
Question from Cynthia. She says, my developers have a product that uses link servers for parameter table replication. I've read that link servers aren't the greatest. Is there another way to do this?
Okay, so that's actually kind of a two-part question because you've heard that link servers aren't the greatest. You're right. So with SQL Server 2012, SP1 and later, you don't have to blast a huge security hole in order to get statistics back from the remote side in linked servers. It used to be that you had to have outrageous permissions like DDL admin or sysadmin in order to reach across, get a good estimate when it then builds the query plan on the local side. That's not the case anymore. The problem that you can still run into, though, is that where clauses can be evaluated on the local side, meaning if you do a where on a remote table, what can happen is SQL Server will bring the entire contents of that remote table over and then evaluate the where clause locally. So you're talking about a huge amount of network traffic potentially. that's what can go wrong with them. The other question, is there a better way? I mean, that kind of depends on what flexibility the app gives you, because you say that this is like, where is it? A product. So I don't know if this is something that you have the ability to change or not. But if you're talking about replicating from one side to the other, you know, there's any number of ways to move data from A to B.
And why do link servers suck so bad?
I just explained that.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear you say that. Why they suck so bad? Sorry.
Because you can end up with really bad plans, either because permissions don't allow good statistics, or you end up pulling everything across the network just to filter it down once you've got it on the other side.
Gotcha. Hello.
Hey.
Turn my ringer off. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Question from Joshua. This might be one for Richie. Do you have any recommendations for Microsoft SQL DevOps tools?
There's not a ton. I guess Ops Server, I guess from Stack Overflow, would be one of them, but not that I know of that there's like out of the box ways to do that kind of stuff. I know when I was at consulting with one firm, they had built their own DevOps tools. So I think they had Splunk, and then they just threw stuff out from SQL Server logs, and then did a whole bunch of other querying to put dashboards up so they could do monitoring amongst the team and to do all the other stuff. I think OpsServer does a lot of that stuff for you, but it's a lot of configuration to get it up and running. I'd say test it out, try it out, and see if that works for you. But I'm not aware of any kind of things you could buy, and it's kind of opsy things. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
I agree
don't
with
live in the DevOps world, so couldn't tell you.
I agree with you, Richie.
Yeah, whatever the developer says.
What he said.
Give the man a Red Bull.
All right. Question from Curtis. He says, I'm looking for a clarification on SA usage. SP Blitz speaks to having DB owner set to SA, not a user account. But what about the best practice of disabling SA? Should DB owner be set to a surrogate SA account?
Nope. It's not really catastrophic because it's something you should be aware of, because usually what happens on a server is someone will come in and restore it. Someone will come and restore a database, usually from an older server to the new one, and they'll be logged in with their user account, and so they will be the owner of that database. The owner of the database has elevated privileges on the database equal to SA, which you may not want always and forever. So that's why SA should be the owner, even if it's disabled, and the user account shouldn't be. Even if a user is a sysadmin, you kind of just don't want them to also be the owner of a database.
All right. Question from Monica. Monica M. We are migrating and upgrading from SQL 2008 R2 to 2014. We use simple recovery as we are reporting/analysis rather than OLTP. Our IT department said after I copy/restore the databases to the new server, it will take them 2 weeks to go live. By this time, our DBs will obviously be out of sync. What simple method would be best to perform this move?
Every time I moved, we did some server upgrades, where we just created a new VM and ended up renaming it to the old server name eventually. But what we did was we took a full backup, like the day before, hopefully, but if you have to do 2 weeks, we took the full backup when we knew, and then we took a differential right when we're ready to make the cutover. So let's say at 6 p.m., the maintenance window is open and I'm allowed to take the database offline. I put it in single user mode, I took a differential, and then applied that to the new server, and then took it out of single user mode on the new server, and then we did all of our extra work. So it's not perfect for 2 weeks of data change. So if you could keep applying the fulls until like the night before, that would give you a little bit better changeover.
All right. Trying to find short questions here.
Good luck.
Let's move on
Yeah.
I know. They're like, you guys are real chatty today.
It's all blah, 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 problems, blah, blah, blah.
Here is my error. Here, they copy and paste it. That's never reading those.
Here's the memory dump I had.
Jessica likes to be able to read the questions, and she doesn't read SQL, so nobody reads computer. Nobody really reads computer, including us.
I found this weird XML.
Richie reads computer.
That's true, Richie.
Yeah, I was reading XML before I got on.
That's just disturbing.
Naughty boy.
All right. Here's a question from Ben. He says, I have a large 1.2 terabyte very active queuing database. Added a new drive and a new file device. DBCC's shrink file does not seem to be working on the original file. Seems that the queuing application reuses space before it can be reclaimed. Any suggestions?
Don't shrink.
I don't know what you're trying to do. So are you trying to move the file to the new drive, or what are you up to? I don't think you're being totally honest with us here.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't shrink, huh?
Spread usage
across 2 drives. Okay.
Maybe put it on OneDrive? I don't know. I guess that's hard to do with such a large file size.
1.2 terabytes.
So you have your database and you bought a new drive. Did you put like files or file groups on the new drive? Did you do any of that stuff yet?
It says he has to shrink because the original drive is maxed and he needs workspace. I think it's just not creating, maybe he has to do what you're saying, Erik, about creating an additional file group to be on the other drive.
Right, so what you have to do is actually move stuff over to that other file. So if you haven't done it already, you have to pick some indexes or non-clustered or clustered indexes and start doing rebuild on the other partition, on the other file group.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be able to clear out space to shrink your file.
Hopefully.
Maybe, yeah. Let us know next Wednesday.
Have we played with SQL 2016 yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
No? Some of you?
Yes.
Looks
No.
like Brent. Have you played around with the 2016 cardinality estimator? And do you know if it works better than SQL 2014?
It's the same one as 2014.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's the new and the old. Old is 2012 and previous, and the new is 2014 plus. There's all kinds of other new stuff in 2016, but the cardinality estimator actually hasn't been upgraded a second time.
And Microsoft is actually approaching things a little bit differently, where post 2014 with the new cardinality estimator, they'll add optimizer fixes and improvements per version, but you won't automatically be forced into using those. You'll have to use trace flag 4199 to apply some of those. So even if you pop right under 2016, you may not see things immediately. You may have to trace flag your way into greatness and glory.
All right. Well, here's a good question from Mandy. She says, I've been on a SQL 2014 standard cluster with TempDB stored on SSDs for several months. In the last few days, we've been seeing a lot of alerts in Spotlight saying that we have high I/O weights on those TempDB files. The I/O weights are as high as 500 to 800 milliseconds. Is this a high value? I'm new to using SSDs with SQL Server, and I admit that I just don't know what high is in this case. Any thoughts?
It's high, but how frequent is it? Because if you're getting an alert that, like once a day that you're hitting that threshold, it may not be something you need to worry about too much, depending on what it is that's hitting it. So what you want to do is look at your weight stats and look at those as a ratio of exactly how much weight has been accumulated versus hours of uptime. And if you're seeing a lot of accumulated weight versus hours of uptime, not only will you know there's a problem, but you'll also be able to see like what that particular weight type is and get more information about what's causing it. And then you can kind of put that together with what might be happening in TempDB and possibly come up with an explanation for what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also be curious if something changed that started using TempDB a whole lot more, or if maybe you might be seeing some hardware degradation just after some time of use.
All right. Question from James. He says, I have installed SQL Server Audit and noticed it stopped working. Is there any way to be alerted when the SQL Server Audit stops or fails?
Is that the Redgate tool?
Hmm.
Because I feel like Redgate had some auditing tool or encrypting tool that like went out of support when I was at my last place and we had to change over. So I'm not sure what that is.
You know, if it throws a certain severity error, then you can have SQL Server notify you of those kinds of things. But as far as like audit as a product, I'm not sure.
Let's see. Question from John. He says, "Oops, somebody just answered it. Never mind." Is that you, Doug?
No.
Oh, I keep finding the wrong person. All right, then we'll move on to JH. It says, when compressing all tables, page option, in a database, does compressing its backup gain more compression?
Yes?
Compression squared?
Compression times compression?
Compression squared.
Are you really compressing all your tables to get smaller backups?
Is that really bad?
No, it's just kind of a funny way to approach it.
Oh.
I don't know if that's the purpose, but
I think he has no drive space. Tiny SAN or one
buy a new
laptop.
thumb drive.
talk to Ben because he apparently has the budget to add new large drives.
Yeah.
All right. We have somebody in here that's playing on with SQL 2016. He says, this is from Michael. SQL Server Management Studio 2016 sometimes goes into not responding status when using the Object Explorer window, such as expanding the list of database tables. These freezes will last around 20 seconds. Is there any known performance issues with SSMS 2016?
I found one. So I was trying to do a demo on parameter sniffing where I returned 10 million rows of a single int type column, and maybe about half the time SSMS would stop working and it'd crash and force to restart. So I think SSMS 2016, at least related to the RTM release, is a little bit flaky.
For now.
Yeah, it might depend on just how many tables you're trying to expand to. I've been using it for a bit, and I haven't run into that particular problem with just expanding Object Explorer stuff. So, how many tables are you trying to bring back? Would be my question.
I was just about to say, we had that question last week or the week before about SSMS crashing when they tried to...
Oh, that's right.
Remember, they were trying to expand their 2 million objects.
Yeah, it's not going to work out well.
So maybe this is the same person, different question.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it might just be a little bit
new question.
Yeah. It's brand new. What do you expect? It's a week old. It's going to be flaky.
Something to work when you release it?
No. Come on.
I'm just saying, it's a crazy idea. I know, I have all these crazy ideas, but...
Unrealistic expectations, Richie.
I know.
That would require testing.
Who needs to test things? I did have a client recently ask me what test meant when I was talking about test environment. I said,
I don't, what?
Testosterone.
This is test you speak of.
Just for the record, Richie wipes cooties on everything he releases.
Kitty cooties.
All right, looks like we got 2 minutes left. Lightning round, huh?
Let's
Dos
do this
minutos.
one. Let's just do
Someone ask me a
storytelling. Dennis
We'll
wants you guys
spend
to
it
tell a
talking over
story.
each other. Go.
Hey!
Everyone say one word.
Dog. All right, question from Dennis. He wants to know, tell me the best SQL hardware environment that you have ever worked on.
This one?
I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'm going
Brent...
to say when we went down to Round Rock last year, I got to play with I think it was a 56 core server. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think my best was 64 cores and 1.5 terabytes of RAM.
Yeah, I had 32 cores and 2 terabytes of RAM.
Nice.
What about the worst? What about the worst you've seen with the client?
Oh,
Uh,
Well, I won't name we.
probably an availability group with 16 gigs of RAM across. That was pretty bad. Things didn't. And I had like one dual core processor. It was pretty. Yeah. It was Richie's laptop. Like,
Worse than Richie's laptop.
I
did
have
have
worse.
that.
Yeah.
The one with
that sounds about like the
64
worst I've
10
seen was like dual core 10 or 12 gigs of RAM.
Like I've had
500 gigs of data.
faster diaries than that.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're at time. It's 11:45 in Chicago.
Goodbye.
All right, another day of
Bye.